And with that said, we'll just bust right into the news straight away. So lots to cover this week. So first, Sony breaks their silence finally, or broke their silence finally, somewhat, on the PlayStation 5 as we count down to now officially 1 month from the date of recording here to launch. First, there was a lot of details that finally came out about the backwards compatibility. Over 4,000 games will be playable. The list of games that they announced were not playable was very short. So they included DWVR, Afro Samurai 2, TT Isle of Man, Just Deal With It, Shadow Complex Remastered, Robinson the Journey, We Sing, Hitman Go, Showdown,
I think it's Shadwin.
Chadwin, don't know, and Joe's Diner. So the only game, well, I actually do have two of those games on the list, Hitman Go, but I also have that on my phone, and Shadow Complex Remastered, and that's too bad that one is kind of getting left in the dust because that's actually the Shadow Complex is a great game in its own right, and the remaster is pretty dope. So that's too bad, but whatever. Can't win them all, I suppose.
I was stunned by that news. Like, I really thought that when they initially came out and said there's gonna be 100 games, playable that they tested,
right.
and then they came out and said majority. Well, I thought maybe like a third wouldn't be playable. A lot of these older games. So I'm pretty curious. I was really stoked to see that it was only 10 games or whatever it is, and most of them were games I've never heard of. I own Hitman Go. That's the only one on that list I played it, platinumed it, and moved on. But the fact that it's only 10 games, I'm really curious to see why these 10 games are not playable. What's in them that's caused them not to be playable.
Right. It's not like
a multiplayer or server based or anything, so I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure like Lara Croft Tomb Raider Go is on the PlayStation Store, and Deus Ex Go is on the PlayStation Store. So my guess is, I know Joe's Diner had other problems, but like my guess is a lot of these have to do with like probably issues with licensing or copyrights or whatever.
Could be, yeah. Selling games stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good that they draw, and like you said, like
where they have the "this doesn't work" list.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like a third. It's not like it's just this doesn't work.
Well, it wasn't some vague like 99% is going to work. Well, what the hell does that mean?
Exactly.
How many games are there even on PlayStation? I have no idea. Really more than 4,000.
I've been bitching and moaning about it for weeks, to be fair.
Absolutely.
And I still don't think I was wrong to, because I think a lot of that, so I certainly reading throughout Twitter and various other forums that I hit up, I definitely wasn't the only one who was like, this is sketchy. What the fuck? And it is still weird that they, like you said, they went from, the 100 most popular games will be available at launch to all of a sudden basically everything. So is it that pressure from Xbox that you kind of insinuated during the conspiracy theory talk of last week that forced their hand? And I think it's pretty crazy how, if they only had originally had 100 ready to go, how they were able to ramp this up at such a dramatic level. So I'd be curious to, I don't know, maybe Jason Schreier or some other gaming journalist can break a story from some insider down the road, because it'd be interesting to hear about what transpired. But in any regard, so the next bit of news to go along with that, the upgrade to the PS5 versions of the game will be on a developer basis. So there's a lot of differentiation across various games. So like games like Mortal Kombat 11 going to be free to upgrade. Same with Cyberpunk and a number of others. Well, still others are not, like Control, or their situation itself is a little bit more muddled, like Spider-Man. So there's a lot of kind of inconsistency there, but at least the lists are starting to come together. and there's a little bit more clarity there. And along with that clarity, Sony offered some further clarity on how saves will be transferred. Save files will be transferred from your PlayStation 4 to your PlayStation 5 for your PS4 games. And there's, again, some more murkiness here with some of this. Like, I know with Spider-Man, there's a whole thing that I didn't totally read through, but I know it was tough to understand about how the cross-saving will work with that game. But for the majority of your PlayStation 4 games, if you want to play your PlayStation 4 games on your PlayStation 5 and have your save files so as to play through them, you will be able to transfer those save files from your PS4 to your PS5 via USB cable or Wi-Fi. And apparently through PlayStation Plus, or I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
some combination.
So if you have your game saved in the cloud,
right,
and you can bring it down. So from what I understand,
cool. That's easy.
Is if you're playing the PlayStation 4 version of a game, it sounds like you bring your save down from the cloud or Wi-Fi or USB. It just gets a little bit more murky if you're playing a upgraded PS4 to PS5 game. You know, whether that save is going to come across to that version. So Spider-Man doesn't work that way. Madden came out today and said you get the free upgrade and all your shit transfers, whether your progress. So some games, if you're upgrading, it's going to be murky. If you're just playing the PlayStation 4 version of it, boosted or whatever, it sounds like you just download it and move on. So
yeah,
and it's weird that like Madden, a game like sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think most of us have the cloud save as the default anyway. So,
right.
Go through if you
have some
PSA.
Not everybody has PlayStation Plus, so I imagine that the Wi-Fi
is the
and
cloud
the
save
cable
a PS Plus thing.
Yeah.
It is.
So you can upload it, but you have to do it manually if you don't have PlayStation Plus. So PSA, if you have PlayStation Plus, don't assume that it's on. Go up and verify that it's on just to make sure, because if you don't have it on and your PlayStation dies on you, shit out of luck. So just double check that little feature.
Can you just log into like PS Plus like you do the PlayStation account settings and shit online?
It's somewhere in settings. Yeah, it's somewhere in settings and in storage. I checked to make sure that mine was on one time years and years ago when it was recommended, and probably on Kind of Funny or somewhere. But just verify it in your settings, storage, and then it says
cloud backups.
Cloud backups on. Just make sure it's on. It should be on by default, but always double check your saves.
Right.
Redundancy. D's world.
Indeed. So, and then in addition to updates about some of the software information and how that will work, they also gave some updates on hardware. So, as we've noted previously, the PlayStation VR will be fully compatible with the PS5. Your Move controllers, your PlayStation 4 controllers, at least for those games of which are PlayStation 4 games, so on and so forth. Your light gun, in addition to the actual PlayStation 4 camera, which turns out you actually will have to have to play PlayStation VR games on your PlayStation 5. So the camera that came with your PSVR, the PlayStation 4 camera, as it were, is the camera that will actually be required to play PSVR on the PlayStation 5. So if you are getting the PlayStation 5 camera and we're planning on using that for the PSVR, it will not work. And Sony has said that it will include an adapter to make the PS4 camera work on the PS5 at no cost. And presumably it's going to be included in the box of the console itself, but there wasn't a total clarity on that, but I think that's the presumption everybody is running with. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool if they included. Usually that's a stupid thing that they like to get an extra $10 for.
Right. So, but I do kind of wonder if it's going to be one of those things where it's like a slip that you have to mail in and then it comes back.
Oh, God.
Once you get down to the manufacturing level, right, for millions and millions of units, if something costs $2 to produce, package, and put in your thing, that adds up.
10% of the people have the PS4 VR camera.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So I wonder what the deal will actually be. We'll find out. Hopefully, maybe someday. Probably on launch. So other things about the PlayStation 5, they did do a complete PlayStation 5 system teardown via the official PlayStation YouTube, which was pretty cool if you watched it. The thing is fucking massive. It literally, I thought the gentleman who was actually doing the teardown itself, the console, I shit you not, looked as big as this dude's torso. So
it was comically big, man. Like I'm assuming that guy is pretty small,
right?
But just looking at that, you assume it's Photoshop, and it's not. It's just that big, and he's also probably pretty small. So
right, but it did show some really cool stuff. Like they showed the slot where you're going to be able to plug in your expanded storage when that becomes available. They showed how you can pop off the sides and then change it up from being vertically positioned to horizontally positioned, which was also a nice point of clarification because people didn't know, okay, how does it work? What's the stand going to cost to make it horizontal? Turns out the same stand that is used to situate it and keep it secure vertically is used to make it horizontal, which is a nice point of clarity from this teardown. And that seems to be an included piece of hardware with the console. In addition, they showed throughout the teardown these basically where all of the giant fans, they filter or they flow all of the dust particles into a couple of dust trap bins for convenience. By all accounts, the console runs. By all accounts, the console runs very quiet and cool, which is good given the Xbox news from last week that was popping around. And then they tore it all the way down and showed like one of the reasons it definitely is so massive is their heatsink is fucking ginormous. It is insanely large. And then in addition to that, they said one of the things that they developed for it was a liquid metal cooling apparatus or mechanism that actually took them 2 years to develop or something like that. So by all accounts, it looks like this thing is going to be good for the long haul and hopefully shouldn't have any problems with heat or dust or any of that stuff. Because
that dust thing is a highly underrated thing that I haven't heard talked about enough because we actually covered it. I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but that was a major reason that if you had issues with your PS4 with the loud fan or any of that other crap or just things like that, overheating. A lot of times it was the dust getting in there and clogging up all the air vents and the fan. And like when I stripped my fan out, that fucker was full, man. It was gross. And there's no other way to clean it out.
Right. So, and you can get to all of this stuff without, cutting the sticker on the one part of it that voids the warranty, which is pretty nice. Well, not the heat sink and stuff. That stuff's in the internals and guts, but the dust trap vents to the expanded storage to swapping out the sides, all that stuff is accessible pretty readily just by taking off the sides of the console. But
you're gonna be able to buy plates, to customize plates. I'm sure they're gonna 3D print those bitches, and my white ones are gonna be gone very soon once once the Dark Souls plates come out.
There you go.
Just spray paint them, bro. So with the size of the console and some of the nuances about trying not just being able to plug in a PlayStation 2 size memory card for expandable storage, there's a lot of fun being poked at PlayStation throughout the week by Xbox and the like.
Did you see that at all?
All in good fun.
They had the Xbox came out right after that video and posted a video of this is how you change your orientation on the Xbox. And there's a picture of it standing up and then a picture of it laying on its side. Look at that, that's a pretty good burn. And then this is how you expand the storage, and it's stuck a little card in the back. That's a pretty good burn.
Right. Except for their cards get apparently lava hot.
And melt. So, burn your house down or...
And they're $50 more for 2 TB, and we haven't even gotten past right now when the market's going to bring 4 and 8 tier cards way down, and what is theirs going to be proprietary?
We'll see.
Foreseeable future.
So they still have not given any updates on the UI, the new UI, or the create button. They are still really vague on that, and it's kind of getting curious. They did release information of how the share button from your DualShock 4 is going to work, how it has now a short press, a double press, and a long press. One that'll function like the share button did, and then one that'll basically be the new button, the
create.
The create button, and then another one for I forget what else. But so at least they have a plan for the share button on the PlayStation 5, so that you're not losing those capabilities by using a DualShock 4 on your PlayStation 5. And then one other thing I wanted to cut to here real quick that they talked about was, I guess we'll get to this too, though, which I know the Trophy Hunter will be excited about, was Trophy's level revamp, which they announced and just did. So they revamped the scale of the trophies. So trophy levels cap went from 100 to 999. If you have your trophy synced, which you probably should by now, as it's been out for a week, the update anyway, everybody's levels were completely boosted and changed because of how the breakdown now goes, because there's sub levels. There's 3 layers of accomplishments within each gold, silver.
So it goes bronze, silver, gold, then platinum, and platinum's just 999 level. And the reason they did it, I think, is you progress faster, right? So before you progress pretty quick to the lower levels, and then I hit 22, and it's a slog to level up. So it's just another way to kind of encourage you to kind of get trophies. And then even within each section, bronze, silver, gold, there's 3 different icons that can be next to your name. So it's just kind of a cool revamp to trophies. They didn't touch on the developers that give out the bullshit platinums. You can still get your bullshit platinums if you want. I thought it'd been kind of cool if they could have came out with a weighted trophy system where if I platinum Dark Souls, it's different than me platinuming, Telltale The Walking Dead Season 1, where you just get it by playing it.
Like points. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of would have been. I don't know how they would have done it if it would have been a percentage of people that have gotten it, and that will change over time, obviously. But it's just a kind of idea I was kind of kicking around in my head of what else they could do to kind of revamp trophies a bit. But I like the trophy leveling. I'm now level 347 in the bronze range, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Well, I think it's cool too, I think it acts as a barometer as to, here's my collections of games that I've at least started on my PlayStation once. What is the average trophy level per game that I have attained? Right. So it's almost a barometer of that, it seems, which is also pretty cool. So, and then there was a rumor floating around from PlayStation France. Evidently, Sony will track progress towards a trophy, which was CJ's #1 Santa Christmas list for.
I'm so excited for this
trophy enhancements. So if they do that, that'll be great.
Xbox has this, Steam has this. It just kind of tracks hey, you've found 15 documents of the 20 you need to find. Because a lot of times, I think Woods has maybe seen it once, but I have these when I'm going for the platinums in some of these games like Dark Souls, I have reams of paper, I'm taking notes and I'm tally marking shit, and it's
a chemistry level fucking notebook from high school.
It's like the Charlie Day from the fucking Always Sunny. I've got this, this
Pepe Sylvia. Yeah. There is no Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, exactly. So now that's all tracked, and my craziness can go down a little bit at least.
So as you're talking about that, one of the things I actually discovered this week that I didn't know they had done, which is really cool, because that was one of the cool features that I thought Stadia had done, where if you're having troubles for like an achievement or part of a game, you click the whatever share button they call their share button on that controller, and it'll pop you over to YouTube, and you can look up the video for how to do it. Turns out that same thing actually exists on your PlayStation 4 under trophies. So if you go,
I did not know this.
Yeah. So if you go into a game's list of trophies, which is pretty easy to do because it's just all in the dashboard. If you click on an individual trophy and click the options menu, it like one of the options that it presents is search the web, or they call it something, search the web, and then it pops up the browser, which pops up a whole bunch of videos, and you could just click whatever video you want, and it'll pop up in YouTube, and you can watch it.
Oh man!
So that is pretty neat. Something I didn't know you could do.
You should see my YouTube subscriptions. It's like I have like all these crazy random, like I have my Dark Souls guy I follow for his Dark Souls video, and I have my guy I follow for my Mortal Kombat videos and all that crazy shit.
Slobbing on those Souls knobs. Gotta love it.
It is what it is.
So the last bit of PlayStation news I wanted to touch on, which is kind of a bit of a negative point of news, however, or well, depending upon your point of view. Sony announced that the PlayStation Store will stop selling PlayStation 3, PSP, Vita games, as well as themes and avatars through the mobile and web browser storefronts, which is odd. They also are doing away with your wish list within those mobile and web storefronts, which is always something that you and I had talked about, CJ, where it sucked that I could just have my wish list appear everywhere because it was only ever on those browser storefronts, which was stupid. But they're doing away with that. So, it's going away, and it's going away pretty soon. The date of its dissolvement is the 19th of October, so it's rapidly approaching. So if you have a number of games on your wish list via those browser PlayStation storefronts, go in and write them down because they are going to be gone. You are still going to be able to buy and download PlayStation 3, PSP, and Vita games, but only via the native storefronts on those consoles themselves. So
I'm of two minds
about this. Decision, and their argument was for consolidation, and I don't get it. I really don't understand this move.
I like it, and that's going to help with some of the clutter. You know, a lot of the clutter is with avatars and themes and shit. If you could just filter that shit out, it'd help out a lot. But like I've made the mistake on one time, it was a couple years ago, of buying a PS3 version of a game when I wasn't paying attention because I clicked on the wrong one. You know, so I think it's going to help with the clutter. So I like that. But there's also been times when I want to go on and get like the Vita version of a game, and I just like to use the mobile one just because I'm at my office and I see like a sale on something and I snap it up or it's free or something.
Right.
So that sucks. But I don't ever play my Vita or a PlayStation 3 anymore. So it's at the end of the world.
Maybe this is a move to finally kind of unify the storefronts from your mobile browser or your PC browser to what will actually be appearing on your PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 at a certain point in the future.
I didn't hear about the wish list. That pisses me off, man. I use that
doesn't piss me off.
I like to track the games that go on sale. So like we were talking about previous week, like instead of like wading through the millions of avatars and shit that's on sale, I just look, hey, is this game that I want on sale? Yes or no? Okay, well, yes. Okay, I'm gonna buy it. The wish list is so common on every freaking site you can buy stuff on that you think that's a no-brainer. So,
and
it's a really odd move.
And the justification they gave for it to be going away on these on your PC and mobile browser or storefronts was specifically because if you have games on your wish list that are a PS3, Vita, or a PSP game, and they're going away, then your wish list is going to be distorted anyways. So I think they're probably going to have a replacement for it whenever this new storefront homogeny occurs. But they, again, lack of communication. Oh, Sony.
Shocker.
Speaking of lack of communication and Sony, they had a facepalm moment when I guess going through the launch for the PlayStation 5 in India. So lo and behold, Sony forgot to secure the PlayStation 5 trademark in India, and some Joe Schmo, lapped it up about 3 months ago, I guess. So some guy in India just went out and secured the trademark for the PlayStation 5 in India. So there's going to be there's going to be a legal precedent. Right. There'll be a legal precedent that I'm sure Sony will win pretty easily PS5. For like historical precedents for the trademark and everything.
I don't think those people get a ton anymore because you get the old, you don't actually need that or are going to do anything with it. You're just being a dick. So I think Sony will send that guy a free PS5 and agree not to sue the piss out of him, and they'll call it a day.
Right. Yeah, but it is apparently it's caused enough of a headache for them that it is going to cause a delay of who knows how long, but they have already announced that it's going to cause a delay for the release of the PlayStation 5 system in India. Fucking A. What are you going to do?
Facepalm.
So in non-PlayStation news, not to show our bias, this article is from IGM. So GameStop and Microsoft have entered into a new multi-year partnership to primarily impact GameStop's back end, transferring over their internal GameStop systems to Microsoft's 365 cloud solutions. In a joint announcement, GameStop and Microsoft announced a new multi-year partnership that will see GameStop's backend solutions moved over to programs like Microsoft 365. This basically means that GameStop stores will adopt Microsoft programs to help run business operations like sales and inventory, and store employees will be able to use Microsoft 365 and I'm presuming their Surface pads and everything to go around the store so people don't have to go up to the actual register to find out information. And on the news, the GameStop share price actually surged 44%, but I checked just before we recorded this, and it has fallen way back down to just 30% above its pre-news price. But
smart people just did the GTA 5 thing. They saw it was in the news,
right?
And they bought a bunch and then dumped it on those stupid people.
Right.
It's like that. That's not going to help GameStop survive a lot longer.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting business move, and I know we covered earlier that Microsoft had made the decision to shut down all of their actual Microsoft brick and mortar stores nationwide, and this is how they're going to kind of supplant it, at least from a gaming front.
And I'm sure. I would be shocked if you couldn't buy a Surface at GameStop.
Oh, I'm sure you will be able to now. Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's just kind of an interesting business arrangement.
Given this the is different states of those. I'm not entirely sure what Microsoft's going to get out of it, but I know my wife actually works for a company that does their shipping logistics.
Sure.
For all of Microsoft, so I'm assuming that's going to actually end up impacting my wife somehow. But since they're a software company, they own all their trademarks for their shit, and so then they make a gabillion% markup on something that doesn't cost them much. So basically, they give them something that they would be charging them out the ass for, and GameStop's just now not going to have to pay that much. But I'm still, like you guys, a little unclear on what Microsoft's getting out of the package for.
So I have a theory on this.
Is it tinfoil theory or no?
Not really. It's basically.
Put on that hat. Did you make yourself a tinfoil hat for this segment?
I should. I should
do that. Please do that.
Okay.
Next time.
I'll make it like one of those sailor tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
Like out here, 10-gallon.
Right. Yeah. Now that I got the wide angle.
Yeah. What's your theory, Woodsy?
All right.
So we had they had discussed, we had theorized. Oh man, it'd be nice if you can trade in your disc to a GameStop and then they just give you a digital code, right?
Yep.
What if this is Microsoft's foot in the door into doing that? And maybe they charge like $5 per disc or whatever. Then GameStop grabs the disc, basically recycles it, or gets to resell it for free. And then Microsoft gives them a code that they can forward on to the consumer that now they have the digital version of the game for maybe $5. And
what if they give you like a month's worth of Game Pass?
Or something like that, right? So trade in 5 old fucking games and get
Game Pass for a month.
Game Pass or some weird
shit.
And
then you're hooked on Game Pass now.
Right. Yeah. You never know. So
yeah, I could see that.
But because it'd be a great. I mean, it really wouldn't be any harder for PlayStation to also do that if they really wanted to. But this will just make it easier for Microsoft to, leverage their relationship with GameStop if that's, something that they would aim to do business wise. But
yeah, well,
neither here nor there, right?
I bet it's like what we talked about. If they closed all their Microsoft stores, they just give away some of their software, and now they basically get free brick and mortar space to sell a couple Surfaces and just a scaled down version of the Microsoft store.
Yep.
Because they honestly didn't need a ton of room like the Apple store had. They don't have that much shit.
No, they don't.
Yep. Just Surfaces.
Right. Well, despite all of Microsoft's very consumer-friendly efforts, there was a survey that was conducted by GameIndustry.biz and reported on by Games Radar that has concluded that per those surveyed, the PS5 currently commands more than 80% of next-gen pre-orders, which is nuts.
That is nuts.
Of those surveyed, only 15% had actually locked in a successful pre-order, an indication of the difficulty many have faced when early purchases became available last month. Of those, 72% chose a disc version of the PlayStation 5, with another 10% opting for the all-digital. Some people bought hardware for both console families, but the next generation of Xboxes proved to be far less popular, with 30% buying a Series X and only 8% buying an S. Among
if all the pre-orders are selling out, isn't Xboxes also selling out? How do they know these stats? Because wouldn't they just
because this is a survey of basically if you were able to pre-order versus so they're asking effectively 2 questions. If you could choose,
did you get one? Yeah.
And then did you get one? And what did you get? Right.
Okay.
So of 80% of the people surveyed, 80% said they're basically going with PlayStation 4, regardless of if they were able to get one or not. Right.
Plus, you don't know how many were available for pre-order. So if PlayStation had way more available for pre-order versus Xbox, So.
Also true. We don't know those numbers, which is nuts. But it says they go on to say that among those that had tried to pre-order a console but hadn't managed to bag one yet, the Xbox was slightly more popular. 51% of those surveyed had tried to buy either Series X or S, but the PlayStation still went out with 79% saying they tried to buy a PlayStation 5. So there's your answer. The PlayStation 5 roster of games seemed to be the driving force that increased the interest per those that were surveyed. They have a breakdown per game, but I didn't want to get into that, so we won't. But it is interesting to see that, despite those being able to actually secure a pre-order and those not, that and this is one thing I forgot to mention. This was a survey conducted only in the U.S., which Microsoft generally has a pretty even share of the market in North America. Obviously, given its U.S. presence and everything like that. But this is kind of concerning, I would say, if you're an Xbox fan, just because the mind share seems to be in one direction and almost one direction only right now, which was shocking to me given what I've seen on Twitter and everything else. But yes, very interesting.
Yeah, the games are going to sell the console, So, but if Microsoft can get you to buy on Game Pass, whether you have the console or not, or have the old console, I mean, they're happy selling the subscription services. So, I guess we'll see.
So in the last bit of news, this one is especially CJ-centric news piece. Mortal Kombat 11 announced the Combat Pack 2. Fan favorite Melina, Rain, and newcomer Rambo. You can have Rambo 5 Terminator?
Yeah, so
you're going to have to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I can take this. So the Combat Pack 2 came out. This is their third pack, technically, of characters. So they came on and said they were going to support this game for quite a while. Melina, Rain, and Rambo were the three characters in this pack coming November 17th. PSA for all you combat fans out there. It's kind of cool because now they have Terminator in the game also. So you can have Rambo and fight Terminator. So you have an old 80s battle royale if you'd like. Kind of cool too that they got Sylvester Stallone to voice Rambo in the game.
Nice.
They did not get Arnold to voice the Terminator, and it's definitely noticeable. So that was kind of sad, but they came back and actually got Stallone to do Rambo, which is pretty cool. So we can touch on this a little bit and know how much time we'd have to touch on it. But what are you guys' thoughts on DLC? I normally don't buy much DLC. I will buy it for a select set of games. I like Mortal Kombat, so I'll spend my money there. Dark Souls, I'll buy the story expansions. Do you guys buy much DLC, or do you guys kind of wait for the games a year to come out, or do you even play the DLC?
I'm a collector. I like to have it all. I try to secure the quote-unquote Game of the Year editions on sale, which means I always get them later, generally. But with very few exceptions, I try to go for the whole shebang.
Well, and we're not giant on buying shit straight up at launch anymore either.
Right.
So what does it matter? When we get to it. When you do it that way, it's not so bad, right? I definitely did not like trying to make my way through like Destiny 2 and having that feeling that in the upcoming months, someone has their hand back in my pants looking for my wallet again.
Right.
And I
sure it was your wallet?
Right. Well, who knows what they're going to find.
That's where he gets the money from.
That's the risk they take when they're digging in there.
Well, and if you were naked, where would they be digging?
Well, there's only one place to keep my wallet.
So
but I do miss that about classic gaming, where you just bought the game and it was the fucking game, and that was it.
Right.
And then you didn't have to worry about all that.
The part that I always struggle with, because I try to, I'm a little bit earlier adopter than you guys on a lot of games. I try to wait until it drops to like $30 range. But when is the right time for DLC to drop, right? Because a lot, like Spider-Man per se, I waited for the first sale to go on that game. But I did not buy the DLC for that because I'd already beaten it, platinumed it. The DLC came out, and I'm like, well, I'm done with this game. I don't really care. So I think it's kind of a fine line to walk on when DLC drops and when it doesn't.
That's interesting because, like, I love the DLC for Spider-Man, and the fact that you never played that is kind of
never played it and never will, and I have no desire to go back and and I'm not gonna buy like the Super Miles Morales for like $80 that comes with Spider-Man Remastered. I don't plan on it at least. And so it's just kind of it's because sometimes I will go back and play it. Like Dark Souls, I make a point to go back and play it because I like that. That's one thing I'll buy. But most of the time, I don't buy DLC. I'll buy the base game for as cheap as I can get it, and then play through the base game, hopefully beat it, and then move on. So DLC is kind of always a fickle one with me. I like it in the Game of the Year ones. A lot of times I'll buy like Control. I bought that for super cheap, but it wasn't the Control Game of the Year edition that came with all the Alan Wake expansion and all that shit. So
and sometimes we'll buy a game like the Division 2, a little bit newer.
Shout out What Up McNutty.
Shout out What Up McNutty.
Fucking
and then months and months gone by.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Months and months gone. Right. And
you know, like $1 or something.
I eventually bought the DLC though when the big DLC expansion came out for that game for like $10 or wherever it was like a week ago. I just said fuck it and bought it just in case I played it at some point.
Pile of shame, bro. Coming to a pool near you.
Throw it on the pile. Right on the pile. But I just figure I like just as a collector, digital hoarder, I like to have the complete package, I guess.
If I buy it in the Goaty edition, I'll go through and play it. But it's not a lot of times when I beat games, like I play games for stories, and once I'm on it, I'm on to the next game. You know.
You call it the Goaty edition? I always called it the Gotti edition because it's making me enough and I can't refuse.
Irv Gotti. Yeah. So I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on DLC because this is a weak spot for me in Mortal Kombat, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought about when and if you buy DLC. So.
Well, hey, potential for a new segment. To DLC or not to DLC.
Ooh, I like that.
That's not a bad one. I kind of like that.
You're on fire, man. I like it.
Yeah, So like I said with Destiny, I was in that trap where I was in it and grinding, and the shit would drop, and it's like, okay, fine, and I would get suckered in that, and I did pay for the Ultimate Edition of Spider-Man, so I actually got all the DLC with it.
You platinumed it before.
You and I jumped in like week 1 when it dropped, and we platinumed it, and I was like, yeah, good. And then it took a couple months for the DLC to drop, and I was already on to the next.
So, right, exactly right. So that's a struggle I run.
Well, there's a really interesting tidbit that was a kind of a really cool story portion, CJ, that you missed out on. A couple of them about Peter Parker's romantic relationships that they really dove into in the DLC of Spider-Man. So I'm surprised that I know things about that.
Can we butcher that up? Can we bang multiple chicks?
All I have to say is Spider-Man fucks. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna have to jump back in there then.
Yeah.
To bang all the chicks.
So with that, we will move on. This is an expanded podcast today, everybody.
It's fine.
Going hard in the paint.
We're not CJ.
Yeah, I'll keep this brief. So
don't keep it brief. This is so for those
time,
listeners, we got a gym coming up for you. It is Trophy Hunter time with the Trophy Hunter CJ, and he is covering one of his most beloved franchises games of his top whatever games of the generation game. So the one that started it all, Demon's Souls. Trophy Hunter, take it away.
So Demon's Souls, I came to this game. I didn't have a PS3. It's only on the PlayStation 3. Never came to PlayStation 4. I borrowed my brother's PS3 to play it on. I'd played through the other Souls games, and I came to this one eventually. It's the oldest. It still holds up pretty well. So I'll get into the story. So the reason why I wanted to touch on it was because it's the game I'm most excited for on the PlayStation 5. I will be buying that a day one purchase with my PlayStation 5, and that'll be the first game I play on there. So I wanted to kind of touch on some of the trophies from the PlayStation 3 era. And it's also the only Souls-born Sekiro game that I don't have the platinum in. And I'll get into it in just a minute here as to why I don't. But so, like any other Souls games, it's hard, it's a grind. You come into kind of this hub world of the Nexus, and you go to different spokes so you can pop the trophies at any given different whichever path you want to go down. It's kind of like Mega Man, where they kind of have a recommended path you should go down, but you can go wherever you want from the start of the game. So some of the trophies they have on this game is there's a thing in the game called World Tendency, and it's a vague and like most of those games, it's a vague in-game option where the map in the world will either be lighter or darker depending on if you do good or bad things, I think, or if you die before beating the boss. The more you die before beating the boss, the darker the world tendency gets. If you can get through a level and beat a boss without many deaths, you become more white tendencies. And you have to get better drops depending on what kind of tendencies you have, and different enemies spawn. So there's lots of different cool in-game mechanics, but none of it's very well defined. It's all very convoluted. And the only way you can tell your world tendency is by looking at a map on a PlayStation 3. So as you might imagine, it's very, very, very difficult to tell how dark or light your world tendency is, other than just kind of keeping this mental track of where you are death-wise. So I'd give this trophy list probably a 6 out of 10, just because it is such a bitch to attain. You get trophies from beating bosses. So one of the trophies I'll touch on is called the Master of Slashers trophy. You have to get a weapon in a boss level called the Bladestone. You have to find the blade stone in the level. So it's a level where you have these flying like manta rays above you, and you're like, how the fuck do I kill these things? And they're shooting their little, AOE's at you, and you have a sword. And you're like, what the fuck do I do to kill this thing? Well, if you can, they come down, they swoop down once in a while, and you can slash them, and you don't take any health away. But there's a blade stone hidden in one of the rooms in the boss arena. You pick that thing up, and then you can kill the boss in like 4 or 5 hits. So it's a puzzle boss, basically. But I thought that was kind of one of the cooler trophies. But you get trophies for beating bosses, which is always fun, and then beating the game, obviously. But there's also trophies, about 15 of them, tied to getting the best type of weapon in game. So I won't touch on all 15. You can look them up if you want to. But I'll give you an example as to why I don't have this. One of the trophies is called the Storms King Trophy. And another one's called the Slayer of Demon Trophy. And hang on, where am I at here? So, sorry. It's called the Master of Slasher Trophy is for getting the best weapon. Sorry, that was the best weapon one. So to get this, you have to find materials you need to upgrade a weapon. And to get the material you need to upgrade a weapon, it comes at a 0.5% drop probability from one guy in a level.
Holy shit.
So you have to kill the guy, and each time you kill him, he might or might not drop something. And if he does drop something, it's a 0.5 drop probability. So
yikes.
Yeah, and that's and you grind
how many times
that.
Did you have to kill him?
I didn't do it because I was like, fuck that.
Right.
But that being said,
because you're looking at potentially 200 times, and that's not even a guarantee.
Correct.
Right. And that's just for one of the weapons. There's 14 other weapons you have to upgrade. And they're not, the drop probabilities are not all that hard. That's probably the hardest one, but they're all super rare drops. That being said, Demon Souls, I checked before the call here, has a 3% platinum rate, which is actually pretty high for it being a PS3 game and it being such obscene trophies. So, so it just shows.
So in other words, you're a little bitch.
I am a little bitch. If it was on the PlayStation 4, I probably would have had it. Because it's on PlayStation 3, and you hold that PlayStation 3 controller, it's just this flimsy little piece of shit. And you're like, oh my god, I hate this. I had no desire to really sink the time and effort into it. You can also do things where like you can co-op with someone. There's co-op abilities in games, and people can drop weapons for you. So you could scam the system and meet up with someone, have them drop the material, get the weapon, pop the trophy, and then if you're a decent person, drop the item back to their person. Yeah, and you can pop the trophies that way. But they shut the servers down for Demon Souls, so that's not a viable option anymore. So PlayStation 5, if you hear me talk about that, platinum for weeks on end, you'll know why. Because I'm trying to get this 0.5. I'm hoping that they increase the drop probability, but knowing it's actually done by Bluepoint, but knowing the way FromSoft may have their fingers in the development of this game, they may say, hey, no, you can't change drop rates. So time will tell. But so Demon Souls.
The hardcore players would complain about it if it got easier. Let's be real.
Right, exactly. And the bitches like me are going to complain if it's still that hard. But I will go for the platinum when it comes out. So, I'm looking forward to the PlayStation 5. It's definitely missing in my little trophy collection that I have squirreled away in the Souls games. I wish I had it, but I don't want to put the effort in to kill this one person infinite times to hope for a drop for one trophy.
Sure.
Let alone 14 others. So Demon Souls, I'd say 6 out of 10, just because it doesn't have a lot of the same Souls-like trophies. It's hard. You got to grind at it for it, which I like. It's versus just an easy platinum I kind of touched on earlier of just you rolling it out and my name is mailing it, where you can get a platinum for tapping a jar of mail for 10 minutes or something like that. It's definitely a trophy to hang on the wall if you're a trophy hunter. But these drop probabilities are just obscene. So
yeah, that is insane. 0.5%.
Yeah,
that is a grindy McGrinderson.
But like I said, I mean, like a 3% platinum achievement rate, it just shows you that people really want to and love these games. So
well, and it'd be one thing too if you had to do it and it was quick, easy, just boss fight that you could just go in and mushroom bruise just super quick and be done with it. This is fucking Dark Souls. So or Demon
you have to
Thing. So
get to the you have to get to exactly Demon Thing. You have to get to the guy, so you have to
right.
kill him, kill yourself, run to the level wherever the hell he is in the level, kill him again, kill yourself, and I've done that, but a lot of times in like Dark Souls 3 I had a similar situation. I'll touch on it whenever I get to Dark Souls 3, but the run up to it was nothing, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I just threw on a podcast and grinded it out. So yeah, so Demon Souls done.
Man, oh man. Well, CJ, thank you very much for your trophy breakdown. D, the Raw rant. I'm assuming it's about as long and successful as your fishing trip was. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The Raw rant. Muskies should bite more often.
Right.
So, you know what pisses me off? Muskies.
Right.
You know what I like doing? Drinking beer.
There was plenty of that.
And fortunately for us, D is not the Naked Gamer is not a super angry person all the time. So he can't actually do a Raw rant all the time because there's not much to be angry about, which is good. So the Raw rant is not a segment that is at all going away, but it necessarily may not be a weekly segment. And we're going to break into you're right. We're going to break in another segment that we're going to talk about here in just a second. But hopefully, D will come up with another good Raw rant as we approach the drops of the consoles here in the next couple of weeks. So, with that being said, we'll move on to Pile of Shame. Well, as I already discussed, beat Nier Automata, so super stoked for that. Really liked it. So it's time to create a new poll for the new round of games for the next Pile of Shame. I'm not sure if I will get to that. Well, I'll get to it in the next few days. We'll see. And I'll put it up on Twitter.
Where can they find that? Twitter poll?
They could definitely find that at Raw Cuts Gaming on Twitter. So we'll tweet it out, and hopefully you will share it, and we'll get a whole bunch of good votes, and we'll go in there and have another game for me to play. And with that being said, we're actually going to be bringing you a new segment next week called Pile of Shame Pulled Apart, which will be a in-review / spoiler cast of my playthrough of Nier Automata, conducted interview style by none other than the Nier maestro himself, Trophy Hunter CJ.
Yeah.
So
we'll
do an in-depth interview.
Nice name.
About that game, all my thoughts on it, so buckle in because it's going to be a good ride. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about that game. So stay tuned next week for that, and then the new poll to go up on the site at some point this week. And with that, we have concluded the 13th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. Thanks to you, the listener, for putting up with our bad dad jokes, our juicy, rare, and uncut takes on all things video games and smoking meats. We hope that you will join us each and every week for more Raw Cuts. And if you would like to be part of the conversation or just tell us how much you hate all of us, we encourage you to reach out to us on Twitter at Raw Cuts Gaming. And if you'd like to see this podcast recording on YouTube, head on over to the Raw Cuts Gaming channel and view our ugly mugs there. If you don't like Twitter, you're also welcome to send us your interesting thoughts at rawcutsgaming@gmail.com. D, people want to...
We did get a follower, on the Twitters.
We got an interesting couple of followers, so the word is spreading that we are apparently interested.
We love it at Rock Cuts Gaming. Super love it.
Just to our Twitter so far. So those bots
also
are.
Twitter. Oh yeah, that's true. I fell for a bot because I have it on my phone, and so I get the pop-ups that someone followed us, and 90% of the time it's other awesome small streamers. So I just hit follow back, and then these guys busted me because I just hit follow back.
She slid in our DMs, man.
Yeah. He sent the banana and the
hey,
Smarties
Raw,
game.
how's it going?
Hey,
Like,
Raw, here's a clip of porn.
My favorite part of the woods of the background that I'm passed out in behind you there, that your head is always just over the space where my dick area is. That's always my favorite part.
Those of you who don't watch the show on
YouTube, it's hanging out.
Right, just in case
maybe
it popped out.
Maybe it's just Dee's head. Who knows?
Maybe it's just maybe my head is his penis. That would be a twist. It's a plot twist. All right, Dee. And if people want to reach out to you, where would they do so? Both streams and your thoughts on everything.
Oh, I'm at Naked Gamer 84 on the Twitters and Noob with the zeros _ Naked Gamer on the Twitches, and we are also on Twitch as Raw Cuts Gaming.
That's correct. And CJ, how about yourself?
If you want to find me, your resident trophy hunting, sometimes host, sometimes contributor, you can find me on Twitter at CJ Reindl.
And I am your host with the least. You could I am exactly. _wads. And you can hit me up on Twitter. And also I stream predominantly from the Raw Cuts Gaming Twitch channel. So look for more content from us coming to a podcast and YouTube channel and Twitch channel near you. And in the meantime, happy gaming, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.